the original project that has sort of been going for 13 years, and there's 2 books out published by Frame, is called Where They Create, which started actually in a friend of mine's art studio in Rome. And so maybe like 5 or 6 years into that, which would basically be, as I'm doing commercial work, I would look up an artist while I'm in Cape Town or wherever I happen to be, Paris or someplace, and I would go off and shoot their studio, and that would just be sort of a fun supplement to traveling for the job that I'm going for anyway. And then I'd see cats. So I was like, well, this Where They could be a lot of different things. So I kind of went a little crazy, and I registered Where They Purr and Where They die and where they live and where they are homeless. I had all these ideas, but Where They Purr was just because I saw lots of cats and I like cats, and so I would just start posting to Instagram, and that was sort of but no aspirations for it to be a book at all, 0. I mean, that was the last project. And so, the thing with publishers is it takes a lot. It takes the perfect idea. What they say is like, a great project will find the money, or the money will find the project. And it's the same with a book. And so I pitched a lot of ideas. I've got a few books out, but this particular one was not really an idea that I pitched per se. It was more that it was a conversation in passing. And after I'd pitched some other ideas based off the back of Where They Create, that she was like, well, like animals. I'm like, well, that's funny, because I've actually been shooting cats. She's like, tell me more. And to give credit to Queenie, who's my wife, and writer and thinker, and many other skill sets, brought it together. We put a pitch together, and like a week later, she's like, okay, yeah, I got signed off from the UK. We're doing it. I dabble in, so I will shoot a lot of different subjects, but everything has, I strive towards making sure that everything has a sort of interchangeable, similar feel. Whether it be shooting a cat, or whether I'm doing, a shoot to Mr. Porter, or a portrait of Tatuando, or whatever whether it's a cat, it should all feel and sit under the same kind of umbrella, even though the subject and its purpose might be very different. So, that's answering sort of the second part of your question. And the first part, I guess, was, how important has Instagram been in helping determine that? I mean, it is and it isn't. I kind of feel like I was at the first wave of the social media, more of the Tumblr, Facebook ilk, and I actually didn't transition very, very well to Instagram. I kind of just didn't use it for a long time, and it became the main player. But Where They Purr, I don't know if I'm just trying to think of when I started, because I actually had a website of Where They Purr before there was an Instagram account. But I guess in concept, the idea of being able to communicate directly with people that might like your work, I would credit, whatever little mini successes I've had, 100% just to the fact that I've been able to create my own, communicate, and create and curate my own dialogue, right? And then share it with a potential audience. And that's been great. It really opened up, I guess, just a more democratization of photography. The cats that I've been shooting were more incidental, right? They weren't like I was going out to search a cat. It wasn't a project per se. It was like, as I said, a side project to the main project. So it's funny, but the book is not in chronological order, but, and maybe this is just only my sort of own psyche, but from the beginning to the end, from the first shoot to the last shoot, there was such an evolution, at least in my own, or maybe it just got easier. So I thought that I communicated or documented or got the essence of an animal, or the cat, from the very first to the very last, because it took it took sort of a new, not new skill set, but another type of skill set, because you've got, they're either incredibly static, which means you can set up a lovely shot and compose it and sort of put them into place, or some cats don't want to be moved. So you have to build a shot around the cat. So they go from, completely static to completely erratic. They go from one side to the other. And so that's more akin to shooting an Olympics or a sprinter. And so by the end, I'd sort of developed, I was working with 3 cameras with 3 different focal lengths, and I'm kind of, in a way, I got very good at predicting where the cat would go, how to make it sit still, and treats don't work. That definitely was not something. It was something that everyone's like, oh, we'll give them some treats. It was really challenging. Blood has been spilt making this book. It's quite funny when you think about such soft, very little cuddly things. It's definitely a skill set that I've developed. Most cats are not trainable, or at least it takes a lot of work to train them, but you can pat a cat into submission. And maybe that's true of all domesticated mammals. Maybe that's true of us too, and dogs. So that was something that, you just had to sort of go, okay, I want you to stay here. How do I communicate that? I'm going to give you lots of affection, but not all cats want affection. So, every time you found a rule, it was broken by the next house and the next cat. And just when you thought you've met your hardest cat to shoot, you met the next cat that was even more skittish. I mean, there was a house that had 3 cats, but the 3 cats didn't make it into the book because one of them was just, nothing worked. It just because 2 were compliant didn't mean the 3rd was. So that's where you tried every little trick in the book. At a certain point, they time out, and that's another thing that I learned is they're not infinitely going to be engaged in the making of your cat book. They'll often just decide that they've had enough, and that they're just so one cat, Humphrey, he ended up after we had spent a solid 4 hours, and he was very compliant. He was a rag doll, so pick him up, put him down, just stays there. At some point he was just like, done, I'm out. And he just hid between the pool and some reeds and a metal fence, and there was no getting him out. He was gone, like as good as under the house. So there were lots of little challenges like that you just sort of had to really map out, to systematically map out the shots you wanted to do. And and if a cat's not playing in one angle, you have to be ready to sort of switch to, sometimes I might be, I'm shooting on the couch, say behind me, and I'm all lined up, and then the cat just has had enough and goes underneath the day bed. So I have to quickly come around this way and then reframe, and maybe I coax around a little bit, but maybe not, and then that becomes the shot. And that happened all the time. There's potentially the kind of the light, right, is one whole kind of category when you're in a space that just has good amounts of light, the kind of light that I look for. That's sort of its own thing. Then you have a house that's incredibly well put together architecturally, that is in synergy with the furniture. But it can also be like Sarah Shiners. She is an architect, and her house is not architectural in that way that's been built from the ground up, but she's just like super styling and impeccable taste. And so the cat interacting with all those objects was just also equally amazing. It was a bit sad because, in fact, you only have 6 images per cat, right? It just worked out that 6 to 8 images. And some of the houses were like incredible, the inside, outside, of course being Australia, but we missed, I had to sort of edit all those out. Some of the houses were more challenging because either the combination of the light, where the cat wants to sit, and my ability to sort of, you've got this contrast of macro and micro. So the cat, to understand the cat and feel the cat and sense the cat, you need to be right up close. But then it's not about interiors anymore. So you pull right back and it becomes about the space, but then you don't see the cat. At some point I realized that I could get a shot of a cat. I could shoot a cat in every single shot. That became the mantra, right? It's not to just shoot like, there's a beautiful corner of the room and then there's the cat that's, that was in that room but close up. No. Every shot has a cat. We all pick up magazines and books and, well, I'll speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for everyone. Have house envy or interior envy. And maybe the nicest takeaway will be that someone said to me in the making of the book, you're never going to find anyone with nice interiors because people with nice interiors wouldn't have a cat because the cat would destroy it. And, I think if you're a cat owner and you understand cats, you know exactly how to create a safe cat environment, that the cat can release its cat instincts, its feline instincts, and live in a space that is highly curated and crafted. And so I think the takeaway for me is, so where they create the driving force behind it really, as it's developed over years, but the driving force is really to inspire people to just follow their own path and be creative, right? That anyone can do it, and here the working spaces, like, go off and be inspired and follow your own path. And maybe with this book, it's like, well, anyone can have a cat, no matter what kind of space you have, and the cat will adapt and bring a lovely life force into the house. This, as Jean Cocteau says, they are the living embodiment of my space.